Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Karen.
Good morning.
Stefano.
Hello, Stefano. Good morning.
I guess in half an hour we will see who wasn't listening to.
Well, right.
Well,
Well, you'll not see who was not listening.
yeah, well, they will drop in half an hour, right?
Yeah, I suppose so, yeah.
Kote, I'm going to take off my microphone now and I'm going to go start arranging myself.
Yes, please do.
I've already started the stream, so we're good to go.
Yes.
Have a good Zazenkai, everyone.
You too. It's still a few minutes, but I guess we don't need to rush. Take your time, find your cushion, get comfortable for the first portion of Zazen. For our first Ango Zazenkai together, if you went there on Friday, Saturday with Jundo. Good morning, Mokuseki.
Good morning, Kote. Good morning, everybody. I hope we're all well.
Yeah, please find your cushion. It's already a minute or so.
It is. There we are.
And I hope you don't mind if I mute you.
No.
Good morning, Hoku. There they are. Hello, Ariane.
Good morning. Sorry, always just in time.
No, just perfect. I hope you don't mind if I mute you. So there we are for our first Zazenkai together during Ango. I wish you a good one. Those of you who don't have a raksu yet and are engaging in sewing one pretty soon, please be aware that you are already cladding yourselves into the Buddha's teachings, and soon enough this will be your daily companion, chanting this and putting on the raksu and doing it also in a ceremonial, symbolic way. Let's chant it together. Dai sai geda puku muso fuku renne hibun yorai kyo kodo shoshujo robe of liberation boundless, fields beyond both farm and farmless, wearing the Tathagata's teachings, vowing to save all sentient beings. Dai sai geda puku miso fuku renne hibun yorai kyo kodo shoshujo. Please raise for a short round of Kinhin if you are finished with putting it on. Zazen. Today, following the rhythm of the Jundo-led Zazenkai, we will have a slightly longer ceremony. We will chant the Heart Sutra in Japanese, and we will have the Sandokai, the identity of relative and absolute, in between. And there will be our new format, of course, that we will have a little talk afterwards and time for a little discussion. So get yourself ready. Don't feel that you have to stand in gasho attention the whole time during the chanting. If you stand, you can also stand there in shashu. If you sit, you can also sit there in the Zazen mudra while the chanting happens. So give us a moment, please. Oh, I think I should open the door a little. The incense smoke and talking afterwards will not work. That's better, and you might even get a little bit of the sound of the little kingfisher that's fishing in my pond at the moment.
Okay, you ready? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Maganya haramita shingyo kanji jaibo sasugyo hanya haramita jisho gengo gai gu do i sai gu yagu shari shi 시기 후이 구구 후이 시기 서구제 구구 서구제 시기 주속여 시기 야급은 여제 샤리시 제쇼호구 소프 쇼프 메츠프그 프조프겐제고구 주무시기 마저속여시기 마겐니비제신 니마시기 조거미 소구호메 나이시마이 시기가이마마며 야금마마며진 나이시마러시 야금마러시 진마그슈메츠도메치 야금마 도구이마쇼도꼬보다이사따이 한야람이다 고신무게게무게게고 언니 사이된 도무소극연의 한산제 쇼부츠의 한야람이다 고도구아노구다라산명구산 보다이고지 한야람이다 제다이진추 제다이묘슈 제무조슈 제무도도슈 노조이사이거시 지즈프고고세즈 한야라 미다슈 소구세즈슈 와즈갸데 갸데 하라갸데 하라소갸데 보지소와가 한야신요 The identity of relative and absolute. The mind of the great sage of India is intimately conveyed west and east, while human faculties are both wise or dull. In the way there are no northern or southern ancestors. The subtle source shines clear in the light. The branching streams flow in the dark. To be attached to things is primordial illusion. To encounter the absolute is not yet enlightenment. All spheres, every sense and field intermingle even as they shine alone, interact and even as they merge, yet keeping their places in expressions of their own. Sights differ primarily in shape and character, and sounds in harsh or soothing tones. The dark makes all words one. The brightness distinguishes good and bad phrases. The four elements return to their true nature as a child turns to its mother. Fire is hot, water is wet, wind moves and the earth is dense. Eye and form, ear and sound, nose and smell, tongue and taste, the sweet and sour. each independent of the other, like leaves that come from the same root. And though leaves and root must go back to the source, both root and leaves have their own uses. Light is also darkness, but do not think of it as darkness. Darkness is light, do not see it as light. Light and darkness are not one, not two, like the foot before and the foot behind in walking. Each thing has its own being, which is not different from its place and function. The relative fits the absolute as a box and its lid. The absolute meets the relative like two arrow points that touch in midair. Hearing this, simply perceive what is, make no criterion. If you do not see the way, you do not see it even as you walk upon it. Walking forward in the way, you draw no nearer, progress no farther. One who fails to see this truth is mountains and rivers away. Listen, those who would perceive the subtle matter. Live well your time by night and day. Buddha nature pervades the whole universe, reality existing right here now. In reciting the Heart of the Perfection of Great Wisdom Sutra and the identity of relative and absolute, we dedicate our sincere efforts to Shakyamuni Buddha, Honored One, the historical Buddha and teacher, and to those ancestral teachers, Eihei Dogen Honored One, Soji Keizan Honored One, all successive Honored Ones, up until Zuigaku Renpo Honored One, and Gudo Afu Honored One, and to all other Honored Ones throughout history, same yet diverse Honored Ones, whose names have been forgotten or left unsaid. We also dedicate these efforts to the three treasures, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, to all awakened ones and teachers in all places and times. We especially seek tranquility and well-being for all creatures now suffering or ill in health. May they be serene through all their ills. May their lives be at peace and wisdom pervade the darkness of ignorance. We dedicate our hopes and aspirations to all victims of war and violence and natural events, to the injured and to all families touched by these tragedies, to the healing of hatred in all countries and among all peoples, to the wisdom and compassion of our world leaders, to the peace of the world and harmony of all beings. Thus let the harmful effects of words, thoughts, and actions be dispelled, and compassion bloom in perpetual spring. May we all realize and live the enlightened way together. All Buddhas throughout space and time, all Bodhisattvas, Mahasattvas, Prajna Paramita. All harmful actions acts, words, and thoughts ever committed by me since of old, on account of beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and mind, now I atone for them all. I vow to save all sentient beings, though beings numberless, to transform all delusions, though delusions inexhaustible, to perceive reality, though reality is boundless, to attain the enlightened way, a way non-attainable. I vow to save all sentient beings, though beings numberless, to transform all delusions, though delusions inexhaustible, to perceive reality, though reality is boundless, to attain the enlightened way, a way non-attainable. I vow to save all sentient beings, though beings numberless, to transform all delusions, though delusions inexhaustible, to perceive reality, though reality is boundless, to attain the enlightened way, a way non-attainable.
Make yourself comfortable, please. We will have a little talk. Take some tea, whatever you have there. Feel free to leave if you have to, if you have family obligations, whatever. I would, of course, like you to stay. Maybe I should switch the camera so you can actually look into my face. That would be helpful. There we are.
Just in case, Kote.
Yeah, thank you. So, that was nice practicing together, kicking off Ango and Jukai preparations together. And I guess this is what I would like. I'm hearing myself. That is irritating. I will mute you, Björn. Ah, that's better. So I think for today, like Jundo did a little bit too yesterday, the topic cries out to be mentioned, that we have Ango and that we have Jukai and that we will dive into the precepts together. And quite a lot of the phases I'm looking at will be studying the precepts for the first time and receiving Jukai in a few months. And that's quite a big thing. It's for some, it is officially being a Buddhist in a way. Of course, you are a Buddhist as soon as you think you are one. But there is this official marking thing. And so this period, this time is also about seeing how our practice, our own is not really a good word when you talk about practice, right? There is no my practice or our own practice or something like that. Practice is about not self. So my practice is, yeah, I don't know. It's something like saying my Raksu or my Okesa. It contradicts itself in a way. Well, it is this time of reflecting on the precepts for Jukai, starting to prepare this. Later today, we will have the Ryaku Fusatsu, which is also an atonement and precept recommitment ceremony. So it's on the table what to talk about today. Those precepts are not just a formal commitment to being Buddhist or to a teacher or Sangha because of some ancient tradition, but because it reminds us that Zen is not only about sitting on the cushion. It is about how we live in this world, how we speak, how we act, how we relate to others. I believe the precepts naturally arise from Zazen, and at the same time they guide and protect our sitting practice. I also want to talk about how this connects with the Noble Eightfold Path, that thing all Buddhists care about, I think, and also about how it fits into Master Dogen's 8 qualities of a great person that Jundo talked about yesterday. In Soto Zen, we emphasize shikantaza, just sitting. No object of meditation, no striving, no gaining idea. We simply sit upright, breathe, be fully present with whatever arises. And on the surface, it might look like nothing is happening, but in fact, everything is happening. In shikantaza, we open to life as it is, with nothing to reject, nothing to hold on. And slowly over time, we discover that this separation between me and the world is not so solid as we thought. There is intimacy with all things. And when we taste this intimacy, something shifts. It is not that we decide to live an ethical life. Rather, compassion naturally arises from feeling deep inside that there is an intimacy with everything. We can see where our thoughts, our words and actions have been less than ideal, where we were driven by greed, anger, ignorance. And when we stop being ignorant to the fact that we are not separate, harming others feel like harming ourselves, helping others feels as natural as taking care of our own body. So Zazen Shikantaza is this to me, is the root of the precepts for me. Not precepts like commandments that are imposed from outside, but a natural expression of sitting quietly and being at home in reality. When you look at those precepts, the 3 refuges, taking refuge in Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, the 3 pure precepts, not creating harm, doing good for others, and the grave precepts, not killing, not stealing, not lying, and so forth. If you look at them from the outside, they might seem like moral rules, like you shall not. But in our understanding, they are not just rules to follow in order to become a good person. They are vows that express the awakened heart, that guide us when we forget. Not killing is not just avoiding murder. It means living in a way that cherishes life, even small things. Not lying is not about avoiding false speech. It is about being honest and transparent, using words that heal and not those that divide. Not stealing includes not taking what is not given, but also practice gratitude, contentment, generosity. And when we sit in Zazen, this natural arises, but in daily life we tend to forget it. We tend to be caught in habits and anger and self-centeredness. And that's why the precepts are also commitments. We constantly renew those commitments every month throughout the year in the Fusatsu ceremony, like later today. So the precepts are both fruit and fence. They are the fruit of Zazen, naturally blooming from practice, and they are the fence that protects the garden of practice from being trampled by delusion. Without the precepts, Zazen, excuse the word, can make us assholes. So this point is pretty important, I guess. Believing everything is empty and it doesn't matter what I do because everything is empty anyway. Sitting in Zazen, there is no self. I don't need to care about ethics. There are no selves anyway. That's a dangerous misunderstanding and one of the reasons why precepts and Zazen should go together. If we do not have the groundings of precepts, our practice can turn into quietism, using sitting to escape life, to avoid responsibility, or it can turn into spiritual bypassing, using emptiness to justify harmful behavior. So, one without the other, Zazen without the precepts without Zazen feels incomplete to me. Only with both, I think, we can walk the bodhisattva path we vow to do. I totally get why Nishijima Roshi, my Dharma grandfather, was such a big advocate of preparing for Jukai right away. As soon as you engage in sitting, you should take Jukai. You should go on that path, you should study the precepts, you should go right away. It's not that you need to be a year or two and a student of someone and reading the old texts and then you can commit to being a Buddhist. It's a very basic thing. It's that Zazen and precepts need to go together. And when I think about what it is that makes a Buddhist, what it is that makes a general a Buddhist of all flavors, of all schools, I can only think about those basic paths, about the Four Noble Truths, about the Noble Eightfold Path, those standards that all Buddhists have in common. And we too, but a bit hidden, not so explicit, I guess. Those Four Noble Truths are the truth of suffering, dukkha. Life involves dissatisfaction, stress, suffering, birth, old age, illness, death, separation from what we love, encountering what we dislike, unsatisfactoriness of conditioned existence. And the truth of the origin of suffering, craving, thirst, attachment, clinging, ignorance, the full cycle of desire and aversion. And the truth of the cessation of suffering, of ending by extinguishing craving and ignorance, by realizing liberation, by realizing nirvana right here. And the fourth noble truth is that there is a path to doing this, to achieving this. And the Noble Eightfold Path is that path to achieve that, the cessation of suffering. It's divided in wisdom and ethical conduct and mental cultivation. It's about right view, about understanding the truth, dharma, the nature of reality, right intention, cultivating intentions of goodwill, non-harming, renunciation, about ethical conduct, right speech, truthfully, harmoniously, meaningful, kindly, right action, acting in ways to avoid harm, right livelihood, earning a living in a meaningful way, in one that does not cause suffering or exploitation, and mental cultivation, right effort, developing wholesome states of mind, right mindfulness, maintaining awareness of body, feelings, and what's happening in the present, and right concentration, training the mind through meditation. In Soto, we don't talk much about this formal path, although all Buddhists have that in common. But it is something that is very present, and we see it especially when we prepare for Jukai. It's just not the step-by-step thing. Instead, it's a whole lived reality. When you sit Zazen, you're already expressing the path. And in everyday activities, like they say, with chop wood and carry water and all of this, drinking coffee, tea, working, driving through traffic and not shouting at the others, mopping the floor. Those are not distractions from practice, those are practice. Integrated wisdom, ethics, meditation. When we sit in Shikantaza, we realize right view. Life is interdependent, beyond fixed self and other. Rather than striving for states of mind, we realize right intention through our vow to awaken for the sake of all sentient beings. And through living compassion, the radical willingness to let go of this self-centeredness. And we engage in right speech. It's guided by mindfulness and compassion. Also the power of silence, pointing to beyond words, yet stressing that speech is in accord with truth and avoids harm. And right action expressed in the Bodhisattva precepts. Every act of daily life, eating, working, bowing, embodies right action when done with awareness and compassion. And right livelihood too, avoiding harmful professions, engaging in work practice and samu as an expression of awakening, not separate from meditation. And right effort, maybe we reinterpret it as effortless effort. Instead of straining, one practices with sincerity, with persistence, and let go of results, which is pretty much what we are doing now with committing to Ango. It is in itself an act of right effort. Right mindfulness is embodied in Zazen and in daily life mindfulness. Not attentional training like some schools do, but a way of being fully present. And right concentration. Earlier Buddhism emphasized structured absorption, and Zen shifts the emphasis to open awareness in Shikantaza, where concentration and insight are not something separate and happen at the same time, the one-pointed mind balanced with the vast, spacious mind. So yeah, I guess the Eightfold Path is not something old, something we do every day, something that is our practice too, we just don't call it like that. But we do the same thing that all Buddhists do. That's also what Jundo talked about yesterday, about Dogen's 8 qualities of a great person. That's basically the same, I guess. What a practitioner should embody to be a Buddha, to be a Bodhisattva. It was the last chapter that Master Dogen wrote and finished just a month before he died, I believe. And it's basically repeating what is said to be the Buddha's last teachings to his disciples too. And he just added a little to it. It's included in the Mahaparinirvana Sutra, a Mahayana Sutra, I believe. Those qualities are not just qualities, those are awarenesses, realizations, I suppose. If you want to look at them more closely, Bjorn made a podcast out of them that we can listen to, and it's also in yesterday's Zazenkai. But in short, it's those 8 qualities are having few desires, knowing one has enough, appreciate serenity, make diligent effort, not losing sight of true Dharma, concentration on settling in dhyana, in meditative absorption. By the way, the root of the word Chan or Zen. Practicing wisdom, not engaging in useless arguments. That's pretty much all what I said before, right? It's pretty much all Zazen and precepts and the Eightfold Path. And it's quite simple, actually. It's not magic. It's not, ooh, the great things, the great magic things we need to achieve. It's pretty basic. It's pretty much how you should be as a human person. I mean, that's how humans should be, right? I mean, ordinary virtues. And I believe they arise naturally when we sit Zazen, when we live by the precepts. Zazen softens us. The precepts support uprightness, carefulness. Commitment grows and contentment grows when we live without stealing, without craving. Stability appears when we stop running from life and simply sit and face it. So Dogen reminds us that the true fruits of practice are not that far away. They show themselves as how we live, as how we speak, how we carry ourselves. And I think that's important as we now enter Ango and prepare for Jukai, that the precepts and Zazen are not two. That the precepts naturally flower out of Zazen, and at the same time they guide and protect our practice. Zazen without precepts is drifting into confusion, and precepts without Zazen is dry morality. And together they form this living body of what a bodhisattva should be. So I guess I'll leave it there. I hope there is still some time for discussion, and yeah, I think it is. I will close with Master Dogen's words. To study the self is to forget the self. To forget the self is to be awakened by the 10,000 things. And Zazen is this forgetting of the self. And the precepts are the awakened response to the 10,000 things. And together they make us bodhisattvas in this world. Yeah. And I realize I forgot to ask Bjorn to chant the verse of opening the sutras. There you are. But that's fine. So we don't close them now either. Thank you for listening to my musings. Please feel free to discuss, to say something, to ask something, right? We don't have to make a official question and answer thing. We can just talk among us.
Thanks, Kotai. Yeah, Rio here. You okay? Hello?
Hello, yeah, I'm hearing you.
Sorry, I thought I got muted, as I often do. No, I was just wanting to say thank you so much. When I first started here at Treeleaf, and went through Ango the first time, everything, before I'd taken the precepts and these sort of things, everything did feel very separate, i.e. Zazen, precepts, Eightfold Path felt incredibly separate to me. And I don't really know why, but it just does, because it seems so obvious nowadays. But this feels like the first time that we've kind of like really talked about bringing the three together. And I think it's really useful just listening to you and Jundo both espousing this sort of thing. I think it's really useful to remind us of how the two connect, and also to remind us how it connects to the Eightfold Path, because I very rarely think about the Eightfold Path. But it's a useful thing to think around, because it's what other Buddhists understand, and it's what most lay people understand as the Buddhist path. And you get a lot of people who talk to you about what being Zen Buddhist means, and you never talk about the Eightfold Path. And so it seems like a very alien concept to people. And just hearing this way that everybody's joining the lot together today and last night or the night before for everyone else, I think it's quite a beautiful thing, and it's a very different way of approaching it than I ever approached it in the first place. And I think if I had have approached it this way, I'd have probably felt a little bit more integrated with everything in the first place. So thank you very much. Sorry, yes, that's it.
Thank you. Yeah, in Zen, I believe we have so much accent on practice, on the doing, that and that things should arise naturally, that we kind of refuse to look at those path models. Yeah.
Sorry, just one last thing. I think it's very easy. You talked about turning into an asshole. Yeah. And I think this is a very easy thing to do. And I can certainly say that certainly for the first 10 years of my sitting Zazen, I was just a Zazen asshole looking back on it. And I'm very much somebody who believes in just sitting and it arising. But that can just be quite annoying for other people, can't it, really? I think when you talk around it, yeah.
Yeah, it's a focus thing, I believe. Yeah.
But I think that's a really good point you made, Ria, about because that's how I started too. I started as practice rather than precepts. So because it's quite an easy thing to just sit on a cushion, inverted commas. Obviously not that easy, but it's an easy way to start. And I'm just going to do this, and that's it. The lotus flower will open, and I will be a bodhisattva. I think that is a common misconception amongst lay people. Oh, that's all you do. Okay, fine. And I think that we do have to make sure that we do study. That's my commitment to Ango. This time is to try and refocus on the precepts and refocus on how they connect. That there isn't this precept over here, it's separate from our practice here. The whole thing is part of a whole. You can't separate them.
Yeah.
That rings very true to me. Sorry, Bjorn, I interrupted.
No, I think there's also this common misconception that the Four Noble Truths, for example, including the Eightfold Path at the end, they're just sort of philosophical ideas of, there is suffering, there is the cause, whatever. And one of the things that's not pointed out often, especially in our way of framing things, is that the Four Noble Truths come with tasks associated to them. It's not just that, there's the truth of suffering. There's the truth of suffering that needs to be understood. And so you can tie that into Zazen. When we sit on the cushion and we put an end, we drop body mind, for example, and you effectively put an end to suffering, that period of sitting. You also understand the arising and the passing away of bodily sensations, of the triggers that affect us on a day-to-day basis. So it's not just knowing mentally that there is the truth of suffering, but it's that there's a doing that comes with it. There's the truth of the origin of the suffering, which is craving, which is attachment. But it comes with a task. It should be abandoned. And so now there's another work to be done. So I think there's that misconception that there's a lot of philosophical, ideological things in Buddhism. And I guess in a way, our Zen ancestors realized that folks were getting too caught up in these ideas and concepts and studying them and the words, and they turned it into a doing. So ultimately, the Zen path is nothing other than the Buddhist path. I have the Azui Monkey from Master Dogen. I've been reading it since yesterday. And one of the first things that caught my eye was that Master Dogen continuously, in every single talk, repeats to practice Buddhism. as Buddhists, to practice Buddhism as Buddhists. Buddhism, right? And it's a nuance there when you think about it. What he's trying to do, it's his own approach and way of looking at Buddhist practice, but it's Buddhist practice. It's not some new invented thing from China. That's the thing that, to me, it helps me tie into the 25-year-old tradition and realize that, the Zen path is not separate from the other path.
I believe there is a Shobogenzo festival too, where he says that you completely fail if you think that there are different Buddhist schools, that there is something like that.
I think in
They
Gyojin,
even
right?
exist. Yeah. Thinking about the Eightfold Path made me think of that in a way.
Right, because
About
the
how
Eightfold Path,
this is all still the same thing, right?
the Eightfold Path in the sutras is presented as something that needs to be developed. So to develop it means in day-to-day life, right? When we get off the cushion and we move and we talk to others and we engage in things, you got to develop it. You got to practice right speech, right action. You got to practice right concentration. You got to right intention. Everything. It's a step by step. I guess the difference when you talk about something like a different school, maybe a Theravada school of Buddhism and ours, is that for us, it's the second you step on the Eightfold Path, you're practicing the way of non-suffering. Right? Because in this moment, I'm not dealing with everything. I'm dealing with one particular circumstance. And so dealing with this based on the Eightfold Noble Path keeps me away from suffering. I'm not dealing with...
I believe we are just approaching it in a less structured way, in a less formally divided, looking at everything separately. It's a more, to me, it feels, there's no wonder that I ended up in in this flavor of Buddhism, but I feel that is more natural to me, to see this all as one big thing and not telling everything apart, and having all this rules in my mind I need to obey, and having this in a more broad view. For some, the other way around might be more helpful. For me, it's not.
Can I say something, please?
Yeah, please.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm very, very happy you're talking about all this. Thank you so much. Because coming from Theravada Buddhism, where it like the four noble truths, they're the containers, and every practice starts from there, right? So there are some teachers that they really all their life they just taught the four noble truths, because it's all included in that. And I agree with everything you said. I'm very, very happy. And it's if we forget here where like it's not that there's the old and the new and yes, in a way it is, but it's all happening in the Shikantaza, and the precepts are important. Everything is it's very interesting for me, because coming from a different tradition, I can see everything in sort of Zen. Maybe it gets stressed, things get stressed differently, and I wanted to say, so thank you very much. And also, and I really like, obviously I'm here, so I like this approach better, because it's my personal view, but also in my experience with Theravada teachers, yes, they explain the Eightfold Noble Path, but they, at least my experience, they never said that these things are separate. They said they all happen together. So Sila, Panya, so the three trainings, they maybe have been lucky, but they never said that okay, today I practice these, and then tomorrow, and then you move to the next, and it's all happening together. The four noble truths. I don't know if I'm explaining myself.
Maybe for me it just looks more like a bigger contrast, because I'm coming from the Zen perspective. So
Yeah, but yeah.
So yeah.
And then yes, but I really love like the Shikantaza practice. It's all happening in there. But it's I'm very happy you are explaining, you're giving some basis like to this. So thanks so much.
Thank you.
Stefano makes a really good point there. I think in a way Theravada, for example, looks more at the differences. So it's sort of a much more this is this and this is that. This is this and this is not that. So you do this and you don't do that. Whereas in Zen, there is that, but the goal is that's at the beginning. And then you got to let go of it. And Theravada does the same thing. Like if you talk to teacher, they will tell you the same thing. There comes a point where you let go of it too. Like you cannot hold on to, you use it while you need to use it. Zen sort of from the get-go is like a bulldozer, just goes, no, drop it all. But I have a thing from Master Dogen that he said in a talk, and he specifically addresses that. He said, you know, if you just, say what?
No, sorry, carry on, sorry.
Yeah, he says in a little talk he gave, if you just harmonize your minds at first, it will be easy to cast aside both your bodies and your world. He says, don't try to do things because someone says they're okay, and don't do things because you're afraid that someone else is going to criticize you for it. But then he says, on the other hand, those who deliberately act with ill will are really bad men. Just forget evil intentions. Forget your body and act only for Buddhism. Be aware of each thing as it arises. So respond appropriately to everything in your day-to-day life without judging it. But then he says, those who are just starting in Buddhism may discriminate and think in secular terms. Their attempt to refrain from evil and to practice good with their bodies constitutes casting aside body and mind. So it's like at the beginning, if you need to discriminate a little bit, but then let it go. I think that's a fascinating thing inside of Zen practice, where we can embrace all of it. We embrace ourselves when we discriminate because we need to, because that's why, you know, we have the precepts codified. It's, you know, specific wording, and, you know, we try as best as we can in our body and life to do this. And then you got to let go of it as well.
Well, we're all sorry.
No, just to say, and then I'll shut up. I remember Soto Zen priest saying, I don't know if you agree, but it makes sense to me. It's like if you want to learn how to swim, in some you can take different approaches. You can do the step by step. So it could be Sila first and some, you know, and or by in Zen we just push you in the water because you can already swim. Really, you're already okay. You need a little bit of, but really the goal is just different approaches. Thank you.
So what says the time? Are we already a lot over?
No, we're actually 6 minutes to 11 or 6 minutes to 10 o'clock,
perfect.
I think, for the British folks. So we're just, you know, we're good, I think.
Can I ask one short question?
Please. That's why we are here.
Yeah, as a lay practitioners, considering these 4 precepts, no killing, does it include vegetarian diet?
Ooh.
That's the thing. That's in, well, the easy way is we are a Japanese lineage, and in Japan, I believe, especially for lay folks, it doesn't contain this idea. There are other flavors of Buddhism that do, but here we don't. I personally, just my very personal take of it is that you need to be aware of what you are doing in this world, and you need to have compassion with feeling beings. So for me, those factory meat farming thing is something that is so much more suffering than just killing a happy animal that's running around. But yeah, others have very different approaches. I mean, Shoshin is an activist for animal rights, and she will have a very opposing view, I'm sure.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was, huh? Sorry.
may I add something? Well, so you see my perspective about this, it's like every precept, it's not a fixed rule. It's something that you needed to do, you know, not in a strict way, depending on situation to situation. So, for example, my approach to this is I eat meat also, but I try to minimize it as much as I can, the suffering of other beings. Yeah. So you can, for example, have problems or health problems that necessarily you need to eat meat or something like that. But yeah, I think that the idea is to minimize the suffering of other beings and try to working always in your compassion.
Personally, I was a vegetarian for 30 years, and 4 years before I stopped it, because I realized that being vegetarian, but in the same time harming other people by words, acts, and arrangements and everything, it was like something not good, you know, to be proud. I'm vegetarian, but hurting others.
I think it's good to always talk about this sort of thing, and I'm guessing this is probably the first precept when we get onto the grave precepts that we'll be talking about, and everyone will see just how contentious this question that gets asked is going to be when we get into the forum discussions around what this precept actually means.
Oh yeah, this year we will have quite some talks of our Shusos, and we will have monthly precept discussion sessions on Zoom. And as the months are divided into the different precepts, in that month where we have that precept, there will be a discussion on Zoom too, and not just the one on the forum. So we will have, and usually we take not just 1 week, but 2 weeks time for precisely that precept because of reasons.
Can I say something today?
Yeah.
Yeah, I will be very brief because many of you already know what I think. But for me, it's important to point out that the fact that we sometimes fail to be nice to people, it's not really a reason not to be nice to animals. I think we can make an effort to be nice to all of them. So this, I think that's important. And also, there is no medical reason to eat animals, and this is what science says, not what I say. So, and this is all.
Well, that's a little debatable. Depending on what your doctor tells you, that's what one should do, I think.
Oh no, I'm sorry, but that's not factual. The thing is that science is very clear about that. I've been doing a lot of research about that.
One thing that I think is very important when it comes to this is understanding again that the precepts are training rules. This is not in response to you, Shoshin, by the way. It's a general comment that I wanted to make before. They're training rules ultimately. They're not fixed because they cannot be fixed. It's whatever arises, you got to respond to it accordingly. And how do you respond to it? You know, my practice is not someone else's practice. What makes my conscience heavy is not what makes someone else's conscience heavy. My suffering is not someone else's suffering, although in a Mahayana sense, you know. But ultimately, we got to look beyond just the right or wrong aspect of things, and also look at what Master Dogen was talking about. Are you clinging to it? Because if you're clinging to it, then you got to let go of that too, right? To judge one thing in such a fixed manner it can be a problem for us in our practice and our liberation, in a sense, from those fixed views, right? The topic of whether killing includes being a vegetarian or not, I think is one of those things that opens up a conversation with oneself as to what guides my view on this, and do I impose?
No, it's important. I agree. It's totally important that the precepts and how we approach them and how we put it into action, how the idea of we need to live cherishing life, how we put this into our individual actions. That's our individual thing, right? I cannot tell you how you should live this precepts, apart from you should not run around and shoot at people, right? But
One second, Tassos, do you need to leave? Sorry, Kote, but I saw Tassos. I think he needs to.
No.
Yes, I'm sorry. I feel very sorry that I'm leaving this conversation. Thank you, Kote. Thank you all. I hope to see you. I have to leave because I have an appointment. I hope to see you in the evening.
Have a good day.
You will. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. It was good that you were here.
I will also get this opportunity to go because I need to take care of a sick boy.
Yeah, I think we're done. We're done here.
Yeah, I think this topic is an important one, but we should approach it at the point where we tasked to discuss it, where we.
I think we would probably be here all day, all eternity.
But I wanted to say that I totally get Shoshin's point of view. So I don't want to belittle what you said, right?
It's precisely that for Shoshin, the practice with this is completely different than for someone else that does not have maybe that intense feeling of I'm doing something terribly wrong, right? Because that's the big problem. It's when I'm beating myself up, when I suffer, when I cause suffering for myself because of that clinging and that attachment. So Shoshin's practice is completely different than someone else's, I guess.
Can I say something? It's general about all precepts, actually.
Exactly.
It has to do with what you just said about not clinging at ideas and I think that's something I need to be aware of. Am I not talking? Am I being honest because I want to feel that I'm nice and honest? I am not whatever with any of the precepts. It should not, I think, prevent us from following the precept, even if we are not still doing it because we have a tender heart or because we are not completely awakened or aware. Still, it's good for us to follow the precepts. I think I don't know if I am. I say it seems obvious, but maybe it is not so much.
What? Yeah. Obvious what? What do you mean?
I mean, it seems obvious that we have to follow the precept even if we are maybe doubting about the reasons why we are following the precepts. But still, I think they are a good guide and for me, they put on my path a lot.
The discussion.
I think this is a good closing word for this whole thing, right? I mean, we can only do it as good as we can. So and we need some focus and some guidance, obviously, when you look at the world. I mean,
and the discussion becomes circular at this point, because to follow the precepts means you need to have the clarity of what that precept means for yourself in the practice. So then we're going back to what does this mean for me?
And see, if I could say just one thing,
yes.
At least that's how I was taught. The precepts are there, they're not commandments, but the way I was taught is that they're a way. So if we keep them in mind, if they're a way for us to watch the mind, and we have to be very honest with ourselves and say, is it good? Is it wholesome? Not good, but is it wholesome or is it not wholesome? Is it conducive to something good or not? Is this taking me away from the path or not? But it's a very personal journey.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Yeah, is there something that is still burning, or
Yeah.
can we lock the door?
That door will never be locked, I don't think.
No, no worries. So thank you for coming and for the discussion.
Excellent.
I like our new format. So
Me too.
I think we can
Yes.
continue doing this
Yes,
once
me
a month
too.
at least. And
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, of course.
Oh, yes.
Enjoy
Very
them.
good.
have a
Very
nice
good.
day. See you later today if you want to join the Sunday sit or the Fusatsu.
I shall see you later. Bye bye, guys.
Have a
Bye.
good day.
See
Thank
you.
you very much.
Bye-bye.
That's all.
Bye all.
Oh, I completely forgot.